We do actually have a question
Oh.
from the audience. I don't know, Claire, did you want to ask the question, or should I repeat it off of, because you sent it via Twitter.
Okay, first question is, very simply, Team Chaz or Team Carson? Do you get the reference?
Oh.
Dancing with the Stars.
They're both friends of mine, and I couldn't choose because they're both klutzes. I mean, so it doesn't. I mean, they're there. They're going to get eliminated because probably the hideously scarred veteran is going to win, because in addition to being hideously scarred and a veteran, he's a very good dancer, and he has a very dramatic story, and that's who people will vote for, I'm sure. So they're just there to kind of fluff it up until it gets down to the actual people who are in contention. So, I mean, they might both be eliminated on the same night, which would probably be an excuse for a riot on Santa Monica Boulevard. Stonewall 2.
But they're doing their form of advocacy, because they're killing stereotypes left and right, because no more can it in America say gay men can really dance. Woo, those gay men, they picked the two gay men in the industry who, I mean, really?
Yeah. I guess that was just the funny part of the question. But the real question is, why do you think that Chaz Bono has gotten so much more support from the LGBT community, and especially, I mean, on Twitter every Monday and Tuesday night, it's GLAAD, it's GLSEN, it's HRC, it's everyone saying vote for Chaz, vote for Chaz.
Well, it's because I think it's because he got attacked right off the bat, and it was a response to the attack that came from the right, and so our armor. We put on our armor, and our back got all.
It's tactical, because you know that the right wing has got phone banks and people who just sit there and vote no constantly. I mean, that's how they operate. So it was an attempt to strategically counter that. I don't know if the underlying philosophy is he's one of ours and he's under attack, and his mother is Cher. And you.
Do you think it's a fear? You think it's a fear of Cher?
Cher? You crazy?
She's part of the mafia, didn't you know?
Right, exactly.
I
think she is the mafia.
But I love that it's come down to Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
This is where we fight our political battles.
Yes. Yes.
Well, let's talk.
Like it's like West Side Story,
Yeah.
All the fights are dancing.
If I could just take a second to extend what you said. The question you asked was about him as a gay actor. Mm-hmm. Actors are given material created by writers. An actor can only say, I don't play the stereotype, I play the circumstance. The actor didn't create the role. Right. And the writer created the role. The writer is either encouraged to write a part and hope that he finds an intelligent actor who realizes that while the part has all the stereotypical qualities, the circumstances dictate that it can be played without offending people. Mm-hmm. So the real trick is, how does the writer come up with this stuff? How are we being written by me and my colleagues? That's the question, because it gets handed off to the actor to interpret, but it's the writers who start with the kind of thing, and it's an interesting issue because it's evolving. We've gone beyond a character being gay, and that's his character.
Right.
He's no longer just a gay character.
Billy Crystal on Soap.
Being gay is one element of his character, and that's a profound change.
Yeah.
And that took Ellen, and that took Will and Grace, and that took millions of people coming out and announcing themselves to their straight friends, who can now look at a person and not say, he's the gay guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just like, this is another element of this friend's character. This is not the sole definition of who he is. That's the profound social change that's happened that writers are seizing. It's obviously not going to change overnight. As I've said many times, it was 40 years from Martin Luther King to Barack Obama. It's not going to happen next season just because. It is a slow process. In terms of social change, by the way, that's the fast pass.
Yeah.
That from 40 years ago, a guy getting assassinated to a guy becoming president, that's a blink. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we really shouldn't bitch about how long it's taking. It's just in our lifetime, it's not happening fast enough. But what is?
Right.
Other than death, what is?
But let's talk a little bit about that intersection where politics seems to be drifting into every realm of our lives. It's hard to not politicize so much of entertainment these days when you think about the political charge that comes from gay characters, gay storylines, when the right, anytime there's a gay thing on television, it could be a couple kissing, it could be a character, the right starts, marching up and down, the Westboro Baptist Church starts picketing somewhere. Now, I was at Sundance last year and got to see the bigots up close and personal when they were outside Red State protesting the film Red State. From the perspective of being in the industry, when you think about the kind of writing that you're doing and the characters that are being created, how much of a line is really being crossed when the writers are sitting around the table thinking about, is politics even part of the thought process, or is it really about the story and the story happens to be a political story?
I think it's only part of the process when the right wing is behind it. I think that you see a lot of Christian movies, a lot of things that are celebrating positive family values, and it's right in front, and that's because they really do have an agenda. I don't think that the people on the left have an agenda except to be authentic. To be authentic, to be who we are and tell the truth about ourselves. That's the only agenda. The right wing has a definite political agenda. I mean, even right-wing artists have a political agenda. And we know why. I mean, it's because the Cold War ended. There was no enemy. They had to find an enemy. They found us because we are fear-based, because they're afraid of us. They don't know us. Religion is fear-based. Religion condemns us. And it's an easy buzz. It's an easy button to push people who are not educated and don't know better. The only weapon we have in our arsenal is to identify ourselves to everybody, so they know that they're not dealing with anybody in the abstract. They know they're dealing with a real human being. To put a face on it. It's very hard for these guys to deal with us when we're human beings. When we're abstract statistics, they can get rid of us fast.
And that really is. I mean, if there is an agenda, let's be honest. If we are to claim an agenda, the agenda is that we want to be seen.
Yeah.
And their agenda is to make us invisible.
Right.
And so, the value that we see in the lives that are saved and the currency that it brings to someone who can turn on the television and immediately identify with somebody and their experience, that's our agenda. To say, we see you, you're not alone, your experience is real, and we see you. Everybody, that's all any of us want. All anybody wants to do is be seen and heard. And that's our agenda. It's my agenda. My agenda is to say, yes, I represent a person who looks like this and, has this experience, and I hope that, you can identify with that, and that I can hopefully make it a little easier for you to walk through the world, And their agenda is to say, we don't want to see them. We want you to hide out and live in a closet and act as if you don't even exist because you're offensive to us. And so,
But we have Marcus Bachmann. So.
Right. Yes, but he's not gay.
Right, exactly.
He's feminine.
Let's just let that sit for a minute. So Wilson, I would imagine with the roles that you've played that you have quite a number of young, either questioning or gay men and women who are coming out, who see the characters that you've portrayed, who have reached out to you at some point or another, you're telling my story, et cetera. In the last year and a half to 2 years, we've seen, whether it's because of social media, it's more visible and public to all of us, a huge rise in teen suicides, cyberbullying, all of this has been pretty horrific, especially in the LGBT community. Have you seen any sort of change in the kind of outreach that is being made to you? Is there, in terms of volume, are you hearing from more people?
I'll say this. It's always been there have always been a number an outrageously large amount of young people who contact me through Facebook or MySpace or what was Friendster before, connection. I mean, they somehow they find me, and it's always been the same story, which is what's frightening to me, that the story really hasn't changed. I think that we're hearing about it a lot more, and I think we're more sensitive to it now. I think that our population is more aware of GLBT issues, and so it's easy. This is the thing. Back in the 80s, if you were in high school or in junior high school, there was a kid who was different, and that's what they called him. They called him different, or he was, fey or whatever. Now they just, you're a faggot. You're gay. The students just come out and say it. You know what I mean? That you're identified. There's no room. There is no closet for you. You know what I mean? So I think that it's magnified. The pain is magnified because there's nothing to hide behind. They used to call you a nerd, in school, like that. Like,
yeah, I know.
You were. That was the gay that I heard a lot. You was a nerd or a dork or anything to make you different. But now you're just a fag.
Yeah. I didn't get that one.
Right.
I always got it, and I'm much older than you.
Yeah.
I got fag and queer. I'm 63 years old, and when I was a kid, I got fag and queer, and I got every possible epithet thrown at me. They all existed.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm surprised to hear this because it was.
I think what I'm saying.
It went with the territory.
I think what I'm saying is that it was. I think that there was how am I? What am I trying to say? I think people thought there were less gay people than there actually are, than they think there are now. You know what I mean? Like before they'd call you a faggot, they didn't actually mean it.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And now they're like, they mean it. They're calling you out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you also can't get away from it. When I was bullied in 6th grade and I went home at the end of the day, and I was free from it.
Yeah.
And today, that social media web, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, the minute that kid turns on their computer to do their homework, that bullying reaches into the home and follows them home.
I just think I hate to disagree, but I just think it was always there. I mean, everybody had a gay uncle, and they all knew that existed, and none of that was a secret. It's like, I got called kike too. I had a whole panoply of minorities that I could be slurred for. So
I hear you.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it wasn't. What I've found interesting is that the words have changed meaning. I mean, when Eminem said to me personally, I didn't know that I was insulting anybody when I called them gay. And when in the songs, when he says fag and gay, what he means is weak. That had become the synonym for weak and undefended and worthless and beneath thinking about. The sexual aspect of it didn't occur to him, he says. He certainly was educated, and if you saw the 8 Mile movie, he put a whole speech in there. But he put in himself explaining that, actually. But that's what interested me is when people now say, well, I don't mean anything by it when fag is just another way of dissing you.
Right.
I say, well, then call me nigger if all it is another way of dissing. Why you can't use that word with people? Why can you use this word? It's one of those arguments that we could be here all weekend, but then you're all fasting, so.